السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Prayed already?
Yes. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. So today, inshallah, we want to continue a series that we started. And the point of the series is to hopefully bring awareness to the problems that are in front of us, that a lot of times we ignore, or sometimes you get so used to something, it doesn't seem wrong. And that's a trick from the shaitan. Sometimes things become so normal that we really think is actually Islamically normal and acceptable, when in reality, that might not be the case. So that's the point of this series of reminders dealing with some of the problems, or one of the problems in the city. Okay, we need to remember we are in a great situation in Philly, by Allah's permission. We have plenty of opportunity Islamically as Muslims to flourish, and the benefit that if you do any traveling outside of the city, you see that this is not the norm everywhere you go across America. So alhamdulillah, we have a very good situation, which is a blessing from Allah Jalla wa Ala, but we need to protect that ni'mah. We need to protect the blessing by doing more obedience and staying in line with the Quran and the Sunnah of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. So tonight's section is what happened to following the Salaf. And this is a term we hear everywhere all day, claims, and we hear the word thrown around. And there's a portion of following the Salaf that, whether we like it or not, has been diminished and is not looked at as very important. It's not something that is really prioritized. But if we look at the lives of the Salaf, and if we look at the life of the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, starting with our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, we see that this issue has always been emphasized in Islam. There was never a time when the issue we're going to talk about tonight was not emphasized in our deen. And if we are people who claim to be following our deen, how do we not emphasize what the best people emphasized? Right? So tonight, inshallah, we just want to bring some awareness to ourselves. And a lot of what we're going to read tonight has to do with mentality, the way we look at deen, the way we approach our religion, the way we approach the deen. We're going to read from a book which is called Hayatul Salaf Bain al-Qawl wal-Amal, the lives of the Salaf, dealing with their statements and their actions, what they did and what they said. Right? Now, this book is a book we used to read on rides back and forth when we took rides in Mecca, to Mecca, Medina, and Mecca to Jeddah. It's 900 pages. Right, over 900 pages. It's a compilation. It's been taken, a bunch of statements, been taken, narration, been taken from a bunch of different sources, a bunch of different books. And there's a lot of chapters in here. And all of it shows, because we need to understand, number one, these statements in themselves, or what we're going to read, are not necessarily dalil in Islam. It's not necessarily a proof that you can force somebody that they have to do this, and if they don't, that they're being disobedient to Allah. All right, these narrations or these stories or these statements are not ayat from the Quran. It's not a hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? But they are from people who, the names that they're going to mention. More importantly, though, is the mentality taken from all of it gathered together. All right? We're looking at the mentality of the Salaf when it comes to the issue of the code of conduct, good manners. Okay? Husnul khuluq. We're talking about the behavior of the Muslims. How a Muslim is supposed to behave and carry themselves. The same class or the same subject that we did with Code of Conduct Part 1 and 2. This is a follow-up on that. And out of 900 pages, this section is on Husnul Khuluq. So what it is, there are a bunch of statements from the Salaf regarding different issues, starting with the Sahaba. And the way that the author who compiled the book, he usually starts off each section with a statement from a companion, going far back to the Sahaba. So this is the section on adab, or manners. But there's also a section on knowledge, al-ilm wal-ulama. There's also a section on al-amal bil-ilm, acting on the knowledge you have. There's a section on hal salaf ma'a walat al-umur, how the Salaf dealt with the Muslim rulers, right? Ulul himma, the Salaf, and they had high goals and aspirations. Sidq ma'allah, being truthful with Allah. Dhamm al-kasal, that they were people who did not, that being lazy was not something that was a praiseworthy trait. These are all different sections throughout the book, right? Nisa al-Salaf, the women of the Salaf. Atfa al-Salaf, the children of the Salaf. Ad-da'wa ilallah, da'wah, giving da'wah to Allah. Commanding the good, forbidding the evil. All these are different sections, okay? The worship of the Salaf, hal salaf ma'al Quran, how they were with the Quran. Inayat al-Salaf bil-qalb, the importance that the Salaf gave to the heart, protecting your heart. So all of these are sections, and of course, again, it's almost 1,000 pages, right? 900 pages. Being good to the parents and your relatives. The section we're looking at is the section on manners, adab, husnul khuluq. So, firstly, of course, from the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that as he told us in numerous hadith, that he came to perfect, right, the noble, honorable character. We've been taught in Islam, in the Quran, and in the Sunnah, that the Muslim, men, women, young and old, are supposed to have good behavior, hands down, right? We've been taught that in the Revelation. Now we move into statements of the best of the generations that we say we follow, right? The people that we say we love and we follow, and we attach their names to the end of our names and all that. We're looking at and listening to and paying attention to the mentality and their approach when it came to adab. And as a side note, and this was just a benefit I picked up earlier today, listening to the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that when the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam married Khadija radiallahu anha, we know how old he was, right? Alayhi salatu wasalam. How old was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he married Khadija radiallahu anha? He was 25 and Khadija was 40. So she was 15 years older than the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And they met on what terms? Business. Huh? Trade, business, right? They met doing business. Now when they met doing business, this is the important part. Khadija radiallahu anha, she heard about his manners, the way he carried himself and his reputation. And that's because she didn't know at the time when they were doing, she didn't know he was the next prophet. But what was attractive was his reputation amongst their people. That was what was attractive. So that was attractive enough to do business, not marriage initially, just business. He's trustworthy. He does this, he does this. So they did business, right? Once that business venture went on, Khadija radiallahu anha, she sent, if we can say in our terms, she sent a representative of her. Right? Anybody know the name of that representative? Anybody? Maysara. She sent the representative on the business venture with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So throughout the trip, her representatives reports back to her once the trip is over. So he saw so many things good things, things to brag about, and he went back and told Khadija, radiallahu anha, about what he saw on the trip. Now remember, before this, there was no like major interaction between the Prophet ﷺ and Khadija. How did it come about that they even get into business together? Reputation. He's an upright, honorable, trustworthy, truthful. This is what everybody knew about him. Reputations in our deen are important. We can't follow the internet talk. There's a lot of internet slogans that go around. You can't judge me, whatever the latest one is, right? Allah knows what's in my heart. All these slogans that they put, then we copy and paste them. We put them on our t-shirts and all that. And in reality, that may go against our deen. We have our own stuff, y'all. In lame terms, simple terms, we have our own way. We don't have to jump on the latest trendy thing that sounds decent, right? His reputation was so good, she wanted to do business with him. After that business venture, they said the barakah, the blessings of how much they made in that business venture was more than she ever made. And they said that that she wanted to marry him, right? The marriage came off of what initially? His reputation. Not you go in front of the sister and fraud. Nobody knows you. Then you go in front of them and you fake everything to get married. We supposed to be Muslim anyway. We supposed to be good Muslims before we get married, not when you get married you're going to get right. Well, since I'm trying to get married, let me tighten up, right? The problem is, more than likely, if that's not what you're used to doing, you're not going to be able to keep that up. We're not going to be able to keep it up if that's not what we're used to doing. So it says that she wanted to marry. She was interested in marrying the Prophet ﷺ. So she sent someone to offer, not offer like do the marriage right there, but as an offer that she wanted to marry him, and then it went from there. Does anybody know the person that was sent? It was a woman. They say it was a woman sent. Tayyib. Don't know her name? It's a famous name too. Allah, I don't know how authentic that part of the story is, but it's a famous name that a lot of the sisters have, huh? Yeah, Nafisa. A lot of sisters had the name Nafisa, and that was the name that they said was I forget her last name. They said that it was a woman named Nafisa that Khadija radiallahu anha sent to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to let him know that she was interested in marrying him. Tayyib. Either way, the point of the story is that that marriage came about by reputation of how good and how well and how known he was for carrying himself in a good way. And this is the one we say we attach ourselves to, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's nowhere, not in the Quran or the Sunnah, and as we're going to see, nowhere in the lives of the Salaf that we find that behavior was not important. We don't find that anywhere. So the question has to be, when we hear this, when we hear these narrations, we look at the Quran, the Sunnah, why do we now, many of us, not all of us, why do many of us, even if we don't say it, because actions speak louder than words, even if we don't say it, many of us, the way we behave is not an issue. That's not important. All we need to know, many of us, where does he pray or where does she pray? That's it. That's the gauge. Where do they pray? If they pray here, they must be on the haqq. They must be on the truth if they pray at this place. And if they don't pray there, they must not be on the truth. They must not be practicing Islam correctly. That's the gauge many, many people use. Where they pray. People trying to get married, where they pray? If he pray there, they must not be right. Right? Has nothing to do with, for real, what they believe. Nothing to do with their worship, nothing to do with their manners. Where do you pray? And then what they'll do is they'll attach, if they pray at this place, that means they must have good worship, and they must, all that's a must. It comes along with it. And to some people, it doesn't even matter. As long as you're with these people, then you're fine. Which is not. That's not from the way of revelation. What we have to do is be comfortable practicing our religion, our deen, no matter who it upsets, because some people may be angry. Some people are angry when you do the right thing. Right? Some people get angry when you do the right thing. You might lose friends for doing the right thing. But that shouldn't stop us from doing what is pleasing to Allah Jalla wa Ala. So first, number one, this is the section of Adab, and the book is called Hayat al-Salaf, Bain al-Qawl wal-Amal. The lives of the Salaf, looking at their statements, what they said and what they did. Now, we're looking at how they approached it, because it's possible that we hear some things that you say in your mind, well, what about the hadith that says you shouldn't do that? It's possible. Now, this is the next question. Are the Salaf, in general, free from making a mistake? Is it possible that some of the Imams of the Salaf can make a mistake? They can be wrong? Is it possible they can go against a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Huh? It's possible. They're not perfect, right? They're not perfect people. But we know when they all agree on something, when it's ijma' salaf, when it's consensus, it's total agreement of the salaf, now we're talking about dalil in Islam. Consensus, ijma', that's dalil, right? But you're going to find it's consistent. The theme in this chapter is consistent. And it's the mentality and the approach, and that's what we had to correct. What we do is we correct the look. So if a person wasn't a Muslim yesterday, man or woman, first thing they do is go buy clothes. Right? That's the most important thing. You got to look like a Muslim. That's number one. Right? That's the most important thing to us, many of us. So we go by the look. We get to look all the way down to a T. In the reality, we don't know our left from our right when it comes to our deen. We don't know anything, but we look in the part. Right? But we have to get past that part and look at the mentality. It's a way of approaching, it's a way of thinking. And that's what this chapter is for, inshallah. طيب. The first one says, قال علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله عنه من لانت كلمته وجبت محبته. We know Ali ibn Abi Talib, right? Ali ibn Abi Talib. What's special about Ali ibn Abi Talib? Is the cousin of the Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam? Huh? Yeah, the rightly guided Khalifa, the Khulafa al-Rashidun. طيب, which one was he? What number? 4. Which is important to know that when the Prophet ﷺ died, alayhi salatu wasalam, right? This is important to understand. We say the 4 Khalifas, the 4 rightly guided. What does that mean? When the Prophet ﷺ died, Abu Bakr took over. He was in charge of all of the Muslim world. All of the Muslim world are under the rule of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu anhu. When he died, then who took over? Omar. He's the second. That means everybody is under his rule. He's in charge of the Muslim world, not just a country. Okay, when Omar dies, who took over? Uthman, right? All of them. They were everybody. All of the Muslims in the world are under their rule. And then when he died, Ali ibn Abi Talib took over, right? So he's the 4th from the Khulafa, the 4 Khalifas. He said that whoever has soft, gentle, nice speech, that's going to necessitate that the people love him. It's going to necessitate. It's going to make the people love him. Why is this even important? Because some of us have this idea that if I'm on the Sunnah, I have to be mean. Like if the Sunni, the practicing Sunni is supposed to be this mad, angry, stern person. Right? But if you look at the lives of the Salaf, you do find instances when they are like that. But some people, y'all think, I'm not joking, y'all. Some people think it's haram. The joke. It's haram to have a sense of humor. Some people think, the Muslims think, you can't joke, don't laugh. Like, don't get caught laughing. Right? Yes, Sheikh.
Laughing, joking, there's nothing wrong there. I'm there, nothing even that says that.
Jade, have you read anything that says haram to joke, Sheikh? Huh? Yes.
What was the hadith when the Prophet saw it? It was like a little child, and the bird like died. He he acts like
Oh, yeah.
he says something about the bird.
Yeah, they did mention that. I think they mentioned that too. They showed that he was gentle with the kids. He was gentle with the kids. That a child, he went to the child. I think he lost his if I'm not mistaken, was it a bird or an airplane? One of them. Either way, he went to him to soften him up and try to make him feel good about losing whatever he lost. It showed that's from the Prophet ﷺ, that our deen does not necessitate that we got to be these mean people. You can't smile. That's a kafir. You can't smile at a kafir. Like, you'd be surprised. I'm saying it because I'm not saying to be funny. I'm saying it because we need to know what's really going on. Let's not act like it's not going on. Let's talk about what's going on and then relay it, compare it to the people we say we following. Does it match or not? We saying Salafi, this, Minhaj, that. Okay. This is also from their way. This is from their way. A Minhaj is a way. So they have a way in Aqidah, right? They have a way when it comes to worship. They have a way when it comes to adab, how they behave. This is a way. You can't just pick two and leave one, or pick one and leave the other two. It's not, I can say that. It's not like that. You can't pick and choose. This is deen, right? So now we're going to look at the mentality. Tayyib. Softness in the way you talk to people, or talking to people, if we could say, with respect. Talking to people nicely, right? As Ali radiallahu anhu said, is going to necessitate that the people love you and kind of like, lean towards you, right? And it's important for us because we're not the majority of the people. We're the Muslims. We're not the majority. We don't live in the country. We're the majority. We're the minority. So people are always looking at us. They want to know, why are our women fully covered in the middle of the summer? It's a good question, all right? Why do y'all dress like that? Why do y'all keep praying? Why do y'all stop? Why? They got a lot of questions. How? Why would somebody want to come ask you a question if you never smile? What's the problem? The Muslim, as the Prophet ﷺ said, is always in a good condition. The condition of the Muslim is always good. Always, as the Prophet ﷺ said. Either one or two things are going to happen. Either he's being tested with something, they're going through something, and they're patient for being patient. Even if we're going through some hardship, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, and we're patient, right? We deal with it. We don't jump out the jet and do something displeasing to Allah, right? That there's a reward in being patient and holding down. And if we have something that we enjoy, and Allah bless us with something, that we're thankful. And when we're thankful, that's also a type of worship, so it's a reward from Allah. So either way, how we walk around always mad and angry? See, I'm not mad, that's just how I look. At some point, I think you got to smile. Some point, it's okay to smile. Nobody going to try to take you for bad. Nobody going to run your pockets if you smile at it. Huh, Sheikh? We got that part, Sheikh. No doubt. We got the way to look like a Muslim. We good on that. Would y'all agree, or I'm tripping? Are we good on the, We good on that, right? I think the city got that pretty much, mashallah. It's a whole page on Instagram about, there's Muslim models. Brothers on there, you know what I'm saying? We look good, mashallah. After that, what? Because the problem is with the men, it look good. But as soon as you open your mouth, people just walk away. I can't talk to nobody. I can't talk to anybody that's going to be talking like that. I got to get away from them. Non-Muslims will say that. Right? طيب, it says, عن درداء قالت بات أبو درداء رضي الله عنه ليلة يصلي فجعل يبكي ويقول اللهم أحسنت خلقي فأحسن خلقي حتى أصبح. Darda said about her husband, which is Abu Darda, right? Abu Darda. We know the famous story of Abu Darda, right? Right? You want to remind? We don't got to tell the whole story. There's a famous story between Abu Darda and,
He wasn't giving his wife his rights.
But the story is between Abu Darda and who? Who?
Farsi,
Yeah, that's the hadith. between Abu Darda and Salman al-Farisi, right? That's the hadith about giving everybody their right? If you don't know the story, go back and look at the story. It's a beautiful story, mashallah. The story of Abu Darda and Salman al-Farisi about being balanced, right? Anyway, Abu Darda, Darda, his wife, she said that her husband, Abu Darda, he stood to pray at night, which means he was praying what? Tahajjud, not Isha, right? The night prayer. She said, فَجَعَلَ يَبْكِي, he was crying in the salat. He was crying. He was making this dua. Oh Allah, you have perfected. You perfected the way you created me. And he was crying. He's crying. We know Abu Darda is a companion, right? He's from the Sahaba. He's a companion. Him and Salman al-Farisi, radiallahu anhuma, are Sahaba. They're from the companions. So he's crying, saying, oh Allah, you perfected my look. You perfect the way you created me. Perfect my adab, the way I carry myself, my manners. Crying. Right? She said he did this until the morning time. All night. Tayyib. As Abu Darda, if you read the other story, he was known to pray sometimes all night. Tayyib. She says, his wife says, فَقُلْتُ يَا أَبَا دَرْدَاء مَا كَانَ دُعَاءَكَ مُنذُ اللَّيْلَ إِلَّا فِي حُسْنِ خُلُقٍ. She said to her husband, the only dua you made all night was about having good manners and adab. That's the only dua you made all night. That's what she said to him. He says, Ya Darda. He said back to his wife. He says, Inna al-abdul Muslim. This is a companion, right? Fahm al-Sahaba. Understanding the Quran, Sunnah, understanding the companions, right? He says to his wife, Inna al-abdul Muslim. That the Muslim, the slave, the Muslim, yuhsin khuluqah hatta yadkhaluhu al-husn khuluqihi al-jannah. He said that the Muslim will perfect their character until that good character enters them into paradise. That's how far it takes you. Right? And then he said on the opposite, where yusu khuluqa hatta yadkhulahu su khuluqihi an-nar. And a Muslim will have bad adab, carry themselves with bad behavior until that bad behavior takes them to the hellfire. We think we can get on the internet and say anything about anybody. We can totally disrespect the whole community of Muslims, never been there, don't know anybody, based off what somebody else told you. We can tweet, we can do it. This how far off we are. He was crying. Number one, this is a voluntary prayer. You don't have to be up praying all night. Number one, it's a voluntary prayer. Number two, when you pray that voluntary prayer, you don't have to pray all night. Right? On top of that, he's crying with one dua, that Allah perfect the way he behaves. Why? Because the mentality is, from the Sahaba, they understood how far good adab and good character goes and where it could lead you to. Tayyib. The next one, it says, وَكَانَ ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. We know Ibn Umar. Huh? Abdullah ibn Umar. Tayyib, what's famous about Abdullah ibn Umar? He tried to do everything exactly how the Prophet ﷺ did it. If the Prophet ﷺ put his footstep right there, he wanted to put his foot there. But what's more important than that, though, about Abdullah ibn Umar? Most important thing, huh? He's a companion. He's a companion. This is the most important thing, is from the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, right? It's important to know who the people are so that right? Most of these chapters, he starts off with the Sahaba, and then he moves down to the generations after him. Tayyib. Abdullah ibn Umar, radiallahu anhuma, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, the one who, number one, he's a companion, his father is a companion, and Abdullah ibn Umar, he used to try to do everything that the Prophet ﷺ did to a T. So they said the Prophet ﷺ stood here, his footsteps was here, he put his foot there in the same footsteps, right? It says, كان ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما من أمزح الناس وأضحكه. He was from the playful people. since we're not allowed to play, since playing is haram. If playing and joking is haram, right? You have instances from the Sahaba when they joked and they bring time, there's a time for this and it's a time for that. And if you go back to the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam ever joke? Huh? Joked, he smiled. He didn't, of course, y'all, joking, the Muslims, we don't lie when we joke. Joking doesn't mean we can lie. And then say, no, I was just joking. Nah. All right? The Muslim is always truthful, even in the joke. Even if you're joking, that you don't lie in the joke to make somebody laugh. Right? Because there's another hadith about that. All right? About lying intentionally to make people laugh. طيب. It says, وعن قتادة قال سئل ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما. It said, Qatada said, Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar was asked, somebody asked him, هل كان أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يضحكون? Did the companions of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, did they used to laugh? Did they laugh and have fun? Right? He says, قال نعم. Yes. These are who? But who we talking about? We talking about the best of the ummah. The best of the ummah. He says, na'am. And he said, well, iman fi qulubihim a'zam min al-jibal. And the iman, the faith that they had in their heart was greater than the size of mountains. Iman doesn't mean you hard and you just this brick wall. No matter what they told us out there on the street. They taught us out there that we got to be what? Hard as nails. Right? Ice grill, rock, brick, whatever term you want to use. That's what it taught us. That's what the street told us. But now we don't let that override revelation. We don't let that override what we've been taught in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? These are the best generation. طيب. Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he said, Al-birru shay'un hayyin. He said, it's easy to do good. Right? We say, it's so much evil out here. It's a lot of evil, right? We live in a serious time. It's a lot going on. So we say, what? It's so easy to do the haram. And it is. Right? It's easy to do the haram. Ibn Umar said, and it's easy to do good too. It's easy to do good. This is how simple this is. It's mentality, y'all. It's mentality, the way we think and our approach. He said, it's easy to do good. He said, wajhu taliq wa kalam layyin. Easy to do good. He says, number one, you have a welcoming, cheerful face. The look on your face is welcoming the people. Right? That's from khair. That's from good. Right? Smiling at your brother, smiling at this is from deen. This is something good. Sadaqah. See, we know our issue is we will know the hadith, but doing it, we got trouble doing it. So we'll know smiling in your brother's face is sadaqah. But our problem is when I see the brother and I don't know him, he doesn't pray while I pray, I don't know if I really want to smile at him. He might not really be on it. So I don't know if I should smile at him or her. Right? Because I don't really, can I smile at him? Some people, you'd be surprised. Some people don't know. Some people really don't know, y'all. It might sound crazy to you if you think it sounds crazy, but there are many people, they don't know. Yes.
I think also is one of my brothers I have seen in years, and I thought he passed away, but he didn't. And I saw him from a distance, I started crying.
Allah Akbar.
I didn't see him so long.
Alhamdulillah.
I embraced him and hugged him and looked in his eyes.
Allah Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum.
MashaAllah.
I was glad to see him.
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh. Sheikh from the old school, man. He could tell. Ain't Sheikh. Yeah, you talk to the older Muslims, it's a little different. I'm saying that we all the same, but you talk to the older Muslims, a little different. It's a little the approach, the time they lived in, the way they dealt with each other is different.
Some people are cultivated upon narrations like whoever smiles in the face of the innovator has not been given wisdom. And they declare everybody can be an innovator except for the scribe.
Yeah, well.
So that's why they scared to smile. That's part of what leads to that.
She said some people have been taught that if what?
No, they've been cultivated on narrations like whoever smiles in the face of the innovator has not been given wisdom.
Some people been.
declare everybody to be an innovator except they two. So they can't.
So some people have been, because they are, yeah, okay. Let's just use the statements of the Salaf when they're harsh on people. And there are. There are chapters on that too. There are also chapters, but the problem is, y'all, in order to use those narrations on people, those people have to fit the description in order for you to apply that to them. You just applying a general statement to a person who doesn't fit it. They don't fit the description for that. You think they fit the description. Somebody told you they fit the description, and who told you they didn't know? And if you asked them, they really wouldn't be able to explain it to you. Right? These are, again, throughout the deen and our deen, we have rules, and then we have exceptions to the rule. The original rule is not, the original rule for Muslims is that not all Muslims are innovators. That's not the original rule. That's not the original rule. In order for somebody to be declared, for you to say that this person, that has to be proven. Right? It's like you saying this person's a Muslim, right? Then you turn around and say, well, this person's not a Muslim. Right? We're going to say, well, how you say, well, the question's going to be, why you say he's not a Muslim? Right? If you knew a person, if you knew a brother or a sister that was Muslim, right? And then somebody came to you and said, man, they not even Muslim. You would say, since when? You would start asking questions. Why you say they're not Muslim? Right? That's just a simple, they don't take rocket science. Last time I knew they were Muslim. They not Muslim no more? And it's the same thing. You know a person, they probably called you. They probably was a person that you looked up to before you start really deening. Somebody come to you tell you, nah, man, he shot her. He ain't right. We just say, for real? Psh. No, why you say, what you mean he's not right? What did he do? So if he did, what does that mean? If he does that, that's no type of question, and we just, right? We happen to guard each other's reputation and honor. Tayyib. That's the first thing. He said having a cheerful face, because doing good is easy. Having a cheerful face. And he says, secondly, kalam layyin. Having or being easy when you talk to people. For some reason, y'all, and Allah knows best why. Allahu alam. Why? Many of us think that the more aggressive and the harder you talk to a person, the better your religion must be. I don't know who started it, where it came from, but it's an idea that many people have. They won't say it, but the idea is that if you talk to somebody nicely, you soft. So the question got to be, well, what's wrong with being soft? A Jewish man put thorns in front of the door of the Prophet ﷺ to hurt him. He wanted to hurt the Prophet ﷺ. Every day, right? Then he didn't show up one day. He didn't show up to hurt the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ did what? He asked about, he said, where's the man who put the thorns out front every day? He's not even a Muslim. He's concerned, where's the man who comes every day and puts the thorns out to try to harm me? Where is he? The mentality is, as we say, we way off. I don't care what type of clothes we got on. We could put on all the clothes we want to put on. The mentality and the approach is off for many of us, except for the ones who Allah has mercy on. But the mentality is way off. It's easy to do good. In the type of environment we live in, it's difficult. We're in a difficult situation. But we know that Allah does not put you something on you that you can't bear. We all know that verse, right? Allah doesn't put something on the person that they can't bear, right? They can't handle. Allah put us in this situation for a reason. We in a difficult situation, but we in a good situation too. You know, it's people that live in Muslim lands, right? As we say, they would love to come here and give dawah. They would love to come to a land where they can call people to Islam. They can invite people and tell people about deen. And that's why when you go there and you learn from these ulama, these scholars, and even a regular person in the street, they will love to come and just tell something. They will love for one person to take shahada because they taught them Islam. They will love it. right? We're in the mix of it. And we talking to these people like we don't want them to be guided. Like we don't want the truth for them. And the people who are Muslim already, we sometimes, it's so bad, sometimes we treat them even worse. Allah forgive us and make us better. I mean, it's plenty of good to do. If we smiling at each other, that's some khayr. Because some worship is difficult on people. Everybody's not able to stand all night. Everybody's not able to fast every other day. Right? But there are other things to do. The other things to do, easy things. And that's why I said those two things. Having a cheerful face, smiling at a person, and having or speaking to people with, what's a good word? No doubt respect. But being soft and easy when you talk to people. With good manners. Talking to people without the aggression. Sometimes we talk to people aggressive. Like, who wants to, why would you think? It's crazy. Like, why would you think somebody... Being a man of steel and velvet. You got to be able to play both sides. Some of us think something wrong with that. Some of us think it's wrong. Like, as in Islam, you're not allowed to be nice.
It's like when I go back to the shop, someone from Juma, they always ask me, what are you talking about? Every time I go back. So I got to make sure I got one point.
Yeah.
You know, I might think a little now, but I better wake up real quick. They want to know, what did he say?
Likewise.
You know, they want to know.
Likewise. Like some of us think that we're not supposed to be nice to people. I'm not saying this y'all just as a joke. I'm serious. I personally have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people. You'd be surprised what people think and what Muslims. You'd be surprised the ideas in a Muslim. I thought, oh, you could do that? Right? You'd be surprised. Based on what they heard. Based on they just don't know. I thought we do it like this. I thought so a lot of times, I just thought that's how we're supposed to do it. Did somebody tell you that? I mean, I probably heard it somewhere that just don't know. طيب. It says, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أنه كان يقول من لم يرى أن كلامه من عمله وأن خلقه من دينه هلك وهو لا يشعر. We know Abu Hurairah, right? Huh? The father of the kitten. What's special about Abu Hurairah? He's a companion, number one. Yeah. Narrated the most hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? So we know who we're talking about. Tayyib. It says he used to say, whoever doesn't consider that what they say is a part of their actions, they don't consider their speech, what you say, don't consider what they said from their deeds. That's not from, I just said that, like that's not going to count as an action that they did. He said two things that a person is going to be destroyed and they don't even know they're being destroyed from doing two things. He said the first thing, the person speaking, they don't consider what they say to be from their deeds, their actions. He said this person is going to be destroyed and they don't even know it. They won't even know that they're destroying themselves. That's the first person. He said the second person, the person who does not know or they do not see that their adab, the way they behave, is from their religion. Whoever doesn't know, they don't see that adab is from deen, they're going to be destroyed and they won't even know it. Yeah, I ain't trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be funny. It's tons of hadith, statements of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam about behavior and how to behave. It's tons of them. It's books just on that by itself. The issue is not the information being there. The issue is doing like acting on it. That's the issue that we have. We have the problem we having is acting on the knowledge. Because many of us, I'm pretty sure all of us know a hadith right now that we know just off the top that has to do with having good adab and good behavior, right? But acting on it, the men and the women. And sometimes it's a little more difficult or it's a little more noticeable for the sisters because a brother might go outside with some jeans and a t-shirt on. He might not necessarily automatically represent Islam in the way he looks. A person might have to find out. Oh, I didn't know he was Muslim. But our women, our sisters are covered. Nobody walks around like that except us. So when they act crazy in the street, they can't hide it. They going through with the husband in the house, y'all running outside, y'all arguing, y'all run outside, not the sisters, the men and them. You run outside in the middle of the street. All the neighbors looking at us. At that point, guess what? We don't even care about how we represent Deen. And that's not even the issue. The issue is whatever y'all was arguing about in the house. And whether he threw you out in the street or you ran out there, either way, nobody cares about the Deen, that they're representing the Deen at that point. Right? Allah forgive us and make us better. I mean, he said that whoever doesn't see that their adab, their behavior is from their Deen, they're going to be destroyed and they won't even know it. Allah protect us. I'm sorry. Jazakallah khair. So those are the two. Whoever doesn't consider what they said to be from their deeds, now imagine how much we done said to people, y'all. Imagine how much we done copied and pasted, typed on the internet, talking about people just in passing. Because, you know, we just say stuff about people just like, you know. Because that's what we used to. That's where we come from. We come from sitting on a step, and as people walk by, we just talk about them. Right? As people walk by the street, we talk about them. And if there's nobody walking by the street, we turn around and look at each other and talk about each other. That's where we come from, right? Which one? Whoever doesn't consider what they say, they don't think what they say is from their actual deeds, they're going to be destroyed without even knowing. They don't even know they're destroying themselves. And whoever doesn't consider adab, behavior, manners to be from the Deen, also, a halakha, they're going to be destroyed without even knowing. So we come from talking about people. So that fits right in our comfortable, that puts us right back in our comfortable space that we could talk about somebody. I can call them a name. Right? I can call them a name. Islam let us call names. It was a sister, I'm not lying. She was a new shahada. She's a new shahada. So she wanted to get married. So she says her mother's not a Muslim. Her mother wants to meet the brother she's going to marry. I'm not even joking. I'm serious, y'all. I don't know where she learned this. I mean, I know what master she went to, but that's not important, regardless. Her mother wants to meet the brother she's going to marry before she marries him. She's a young sister, 21, 22, new Muslim, not even Muslim a year. She tells her mother that you can't meet him. This before she gets in. You can't meet him because this is what she said to her mother, because you're a kuffar. Allah musta'an. Allah forgive her. She knew she doesn't know. So I had to stop. Wait a minute. I had to stop her. Wait a minute. Whoa. Why would you think that it's okay for you to talk to your mother like that? Where you get that from? Why would you think it's okay for you to speak about your mother like that? And her mom was sitting there. You know what she said? I'm dead serious. And I'm not even going to mention she got this from the imam that gives the khutbah in the masjid she goes to. Because this is what she said. I said, why would you do it? Why would you think that's okay? She said, we don't do that. I said, do what? Do what? We don't do what? We don't do what? We don't like call people out their name, call people. You think it's okay as a Muslim? You think that's okay? And she referenced the imam at the masjid. She goes to Jummah. He does it in the khutbah. So she thinks, she's a new Muslim, she don't know no better. She thinks it's okay. She didn't know. She says, that's what she said. We don't do that? We're not supposed to do that? We don't do that? I said, do what? Call people out their name? If we was in the street, you wouldn't call nobody out their name like that unless you're ready to rumble. So, but you can call your mother out her name? How that make sense? Our deen, no, we're not authorized to disrespect our parents at no given time, whether they Muslim or not. Right? So people believe things they don't know. So you'd be surprised by how far it can go and how far good adab and manners can go. Because sometimes, no matter how much we think we know what we don't think we know, you may know something that the person sitting next to you, they don't know. You may have some information that they can benefit from. They might not know that. And if you can't even have a rapport with people, talking people nicely, smile at them, talk, you can't give anybody any information. You can't get no dawah like that. Nobody's taking that. He always mad. I know he ain't talking to me. He barely gives me salams when I walk. He barely looks at me when I walk past him. Now you want to tell me something? You know how we are. He won't even look at me when I walk by him. Now you got the nerve to want to correct me about my salat. And that's where it takes us. It takes us to that type of approach. طيب. It says, عن عطاء رضي الله عنه في قوله تعالى. Atta said about, and this is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 83. Allah said, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا. Allah said, and speak nicely or say something good to the people. Right? Say something good to the people. Which people, y'all? All of them? Or just the Muslims? Huh? Or just the Sunni Muslims? Or just the Salafi? Only say good stuff to the Salafi. What does the verse mean? Huh? Atta. We know who Atta is? Do we know who Atta is? These are people of tafsir, ulama of tafsir, people who explain the Quran. He said, قَالَ لِلنَّاسِ كُلُّهُمْ, to all of the people. You say you speak good to everybody. Right? He went further, he said, al-mushrik wa ghayruhu. You speak good to the one who worships other than Allah, right? And anybody else. Not just the Muslim speak good to the Muslim, you speak good to everybody, according to the verse. According to what Allah said. I don't know what the Shaykh, according to what Allah said, right? In Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 83, speak good to the people. Say something nice. Yes.
What about the Nation of Islam, brother, when they give you salam? Should we salam them back?
He said, what about the Nation of Islam brothers when they give you salam? Should we salam them back? Since you said that, let's see what Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma says about that. Number one, why are you asking that question, Sheikh?
They come to the barbershop.
They come to the barbershop. Number, why are we talking about giving them salams, though, specifically?
I want to get rightly guided.
Well, what's the problem with them?
They're not on the minhaj, but
Are they even Muslims? They're not considered, they're not Muslims. Okay, so now the question is, if a non-Muslim gives you salams, that's the question. It don't matter if the Nation of Islam, a Christian, a non-Muslim gives you salams. He says, do you respond? Do you salam them back? Huh? Yes? No? Yes? Sheikh says no. Let's say you for sure. You sure they not Muslim? Huh? Well, let's see what Ibn Abbas says about it. We know who Ibn Abbas is, right? What's famous about Ibn Abbas? Before that, he's a Sahaba, he's a companion. And specifically from the Sahaba, he's the one who the Prophet ﷺ made dua to have understanding of the Quran, the verses in the Quran. طيب. Ibn Abbas, it says, عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال, Ibn Abbas said, من سلم عليك من خلق الله فردد عليه وإن كان مجوسيا. He said, whoever gives you the salams from the creation of Allah, return the salams even if they were a fire worshiper. He said, ذلك لأن الله يستدل. He's bringing dalil. You ready? He said, that's because Allah said, is in Surah An-Nisa, verse 86. Now, Ibn Abbas is giving a dalil about what he just said. He's a companion bringing dalil. Because, you know, if we ask each other for dalil, we get offended. We supposed to take what you saying just because me and you thorough, or we all right, or you've been around, you've been Muslim longer than me. So whatever you say, I'm supposed to take it. And if I ask you what part of dalil, where is that, you kind of get offended. Ibn Abbas says, based on the verse in Surah An-Nisa, verse 86, Allah said, وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُمْ بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. Oh, nah, they need the mic. They want the mic. Allah said, and if you are greeted with a greeting, then return the greeting with something that is better than what that was given to you, or at least what they said to you. Now, a lot of people take the hadith when the woman didn't give the salams. We talking about somebody who says the salams, assalamu alaikum. We're not talking about somebody who says, death be upon you. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the person who comes and says, assalamu alaikum. Right? That's what this is referring to. It's not referring to the person in the hadith when they said to the Prophet ﷺ, when Aisha radiallahu anha was there and they said, death be upon you. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a person comes, they're not Muslim, they say, assalamu alaikum. As Ibn Abbas said, if somebody, he used the verse that you return it was equal or better. Yes.
Keep a lot of Islam, all Islam, not someone that, just the etiquette of respect. They give you respect, not Islam, because they respect you, they know who you are, they know you're Muslim. So I think that.
Well now we know why we can do that. Surah An-Nisa, right? Surah An-Nisa, verse 86 is the verse that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu used. طيب. It says, وقال إكرمة رحمه الله لكل شيء أساس وأساس الإسلام الخلق الحسن. He said, everything has foundations or pillars, right? And those foundations, those pillars of Islam is good adab. The best adab, because we know manners are broken down into different categories. We have our adab with Allah, and then we have our adab with human beings, right? We have our manners, as they say, our manners, if we can say our manners with Allah, right? And then we have our manners with each other, people, right? So from deen is that, number one, that we have, that our manners with Allah are in tip-top condition, that we only worship in Allah, tawheed, no shirk, right? That we're obeying Allah, staying away from what He said we have to stay away from. Being obedient, staying away from the haram, that's from adab ma Allah. That's from a person's good manners with their Lord. And then we have the adab that we have between us. Nowhere, and this, honestly, I didn't even read every single. If we read the whole chapter, we wouldn't make it through. And the theme is consistent. It's nowhere where we are encouraged in general, to just be aggressive, mean people. The narrations when the Salaf are being aggressive, they have a reason for that. They have a reason. They're aggressive with, Ahlul Bid'ah. That means that person that they're being aggressive with actually is trying to add something new to the deen. Or they're trying to take something away from the religion. They actually have a reason to be aggressive with this person. Right? They have a reason. If before we even can go that far, we do know there is a procedure before a person reaches that level, right? Of being an innovator. There's steps. You can't wake up tomorrow and then you see a brother since he cut his beard. Brother cut his beard. Oh man, he on bid'ah. Soon as she got, or even one, the sister stops covering. If a woman stops covering, if she stops covering, does that equal she's not Muslim? Huh? If a woman does not cover properly, she doesn't cover. She's covering today, tomorrow she's not covering. Does that mean she's a kafir now? She's not a Muslim anymore? Is that a sin? It's definitely a sin. Does every sin that you commit, every sin that we do, does that mean a person commits a sin, they're not Muslim every time? Like, it doesn't work like that. Right? It doesn't work like that.
You can't just write them off like that.
Now, no doubt, it's a sin. No doubt, it's something that's hated. It's not something that's pleasing to Allah. It's not something that we like to see, right? But we got to be careful that we let our emotions carry us to say something or do something that goes against what Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, or we're taught in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We got to be careful. The fact that the sister uncovered, we hate it. It's not cool. It's emotional. We emotionally attached to that. But to say she's not Muslim anymore based on what? Because she's committing a sin. The brother cut his beard. He's not Muslim anymore? Right? He's not? He's not Muslim? Did you say he's not Muslim? Oh, all right. Maybe, huh? Let's just say, Sheikh, let's say, whatever he's going, because what we hear, our statements during our time is, I'm going through something. So I'm going through something to many people means, this is why I uncovered. This is why I stopped praying. This is why I cut my beard. This is why I'm not doing what I'm going through something, right? And I'm not saying that's okay. What I'm saying is, if that's the case, if that is the case, does it automatically mean when a person commits a sin that they're not Muslim anymore? That's the question. They still, depending on what the sin is. We got to look, everything's detailed. See, we used to saying, yes, no, duh. Just like that. A question come up, no. Yeah, quick. But the people we love, the people we say we follow, when the question came to them, what did they do? Huh?
They will listen to the situation.
When the question came to the Sahaba, what did they do? Many of them. No, that's the staple. That's the good answer. Quran with Sunnah. That's the safe answer. Quran with Sunnah. No doubt, they the Sahaba. What are those narrations? Because this is all, we need to know these narrations. They came and asked the companion question, what would he or she do? Now pay attention, y'all. Because right now, we live in a time, if somebody come ask a question, we got the answer. Time out. Right now, the time we live in, if somebody come ask a question, this is the Sheikh right here. Sheikh, I'm sorry. I apologize. This is the Sheikh. Somebody come ask a question, they won't even look at Sheikh. They got the answer right now, hands down. With all 100% sure nothing. Sheikh, I'm sorry. I apologize. But what year did you graduate Medina? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sheikh. I apologize. I don't want to do that, but we have to know who's who, number one. We have to respect knowledge, number two. We have to respect our elders, number three. This is from our deen. Because somebody asked a question, Sheikh graduated, y'all, many of us weren't even Muslim. Weren't even Muslim. Somebody come ask a question, and it'll be people there more knowledgeable than us, and we got the answer with all 100% surety. Clear, like, no, ready to argue, right? But what about the Sahaba? Somebody asked them a question, what did they do? They passed it to the person next to him. Ask him. What about that? All right, that's from, is that from the Salafi way? The Sahaba, way of the Sahaba? They ask you a question, ask him. Assuming you know, see, the next problem is you don't know who knows what. We so scared to let our card out. We don't want people to know what we know and what we don't know, so we really don't know who knows what sitting in front of us. Right? They say, we'll pass it around. The next person, no, ask him. It would go around until it came back to the first person. They come ask us, I got it right here. I got the screenshot. Oh, no. So, but Sheikh, it's a little, the early man, no, it's right here. All right. Right? I'm sorry, yes. Yes, good. Even the four Khalifas, imagine, the Khalifa, he runs the Muslim world. Everybody's under his rule. He's like the president of the Muslim world, not just the country. Any Muslims in the world are under the rule of Umar ibn al-Khattab. And even though he runs everything, what he says goes, even though with that, they would still ask other people what they thought. They didn't have any problem going to ask other people, what did you hear about this from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Right? They didn't have any problem doing that. And these are you talking about the leader of the Muslim, Amir al-Mu'mineen. I'm sorry, you say something, Sheikh?
What is the hadith of when the Prophet said something, he captured a man who had him tied to the masjid for like 3 days?
Oh, yeah.
And he used to always go to him. You know, he done killed many Muslims. You know what I mean? He was one of the leader of the pagan. Umama, right? He went to him and said, you know, what's your condition? He treated him so much good with so much respect that when he left, he went to go make wudu. He came back to embrace Islam.
Allah
He
Akbar.
said, I hated you, but how you treat me, you were the most beloved face I saw.
What about that hadith? The man that was trying to harm the Muslim, they tied him. They tied him in the masjid. They tied him up to a pillar in the masjid. He wasn't Muslim during the time of the Prophet ﷺ. What about that hadith? Being nice. This is a person who's so dangerous, we have to tie him up so he don't hurt nobody. Right? Killed Muslims. We have to tie him. We caught him. Now we got to tie him to a pole in the masjid so he don't kill anybody else for days. And the Prophet ﷺ was so nice to him. Once he let him go, the man left and came back and took shahada. We out of line.
See, here you'll see on a movie like somebody like that, they be torturing them.
Yeah.
Not feeding them.
Yeah. And that's how you know we're not really well versed when it comes to the seerah, the biography and the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And for real, y'all, that's probably one of the easiest subjects to benefit from. Biographies are very easy because it's a story, right? And stories are usually easy for people to digest, right? Especially now, they'll read the story from Sahih Bukhari on YouTube in English. You can hear the whole story, somebody just read it. It's just a story. It's the seerah, right? So the seerah is something that we should try to give more attention to. طيب. It says, وقال حماد بن زيد. We should know Hamad ibn Zayd, y'all. These are two important names, Hamad ibn Zayd. In the next name, he said, Hamad ibn Zayd said, ما رأيت رجلا قد أشد تبسما في وجوه الرجال من أيوب السختياني. Hamad ibn Zayd is from the ulama of hadith. He said, I didn't see anybody who would smile more, like he was always smiling in the faces of the people. I didn't see anybody do that more than Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani. Now, if we don't know who Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani is, then that could be problematic. But these are ulama al-Salaf. You should write these names down, and listen, it could be a proof against us. All you got to do is Google the name. Hamad ibn Zayd, Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, their life going to come up, and just read about them. These are people of knowledge now. Let's leave it real simple. These are two people of knowledge. That the people of knowledge in our locality, in our area, they're not supposed to be, as we say, mean, standoff. You can't talk to them. That's not. Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, these are big names during that time. And he still is known for what? He said, I didn't know anybody who smiled more in the face of the people than Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani. He's a person of ilm, of knowledge. طيب. We do know Muhammad ibn Sirin. Huh? We know Muhammad ibn Sirin. Anybody know what he's famous for? He had a famous book about dreams, that dream book. It says Muhammad ibn Sirin, Dream Interpretations. Let's translate it. Tayyib, what is he famous for? Muhammad ibn Sirin. He has a famous statement.
About men, what you take your dream from, about people of Sunnah.
I mean, he got a lot of statements. It's one famous, I'll say, in this city. Everybody know. They use this all the time. This knowledge is deen, so be careful who you take your deen from. Right? Which means what? What does that mean? This knowledge is deen. This knowledge is deen. So whoever you go from to take your knowledge from, you taking your deen from. So he said, this knowledge is deen, fanzur. So look, pay attention to who you're taking your deen from. That's his statement that everybody quotes. Look at the people teaching and look at their reputations. Simple. Whoever's teaching you, look at the reputation. That's what Ibn Sirin said, rahimahullah. Allah musta'an, may Allah forgive us, man. We could fix it. Gotta stand up, though. Brothers gotta get off their hands, stop sitting on our hands, and get up.
It's hard to have etiquette and build up your
No, Sheikh, no. I ain't taking that. I'm not taking that, Sheikh. I'm sorry. I can't take that. That's a cop-out. Listen, no doubt. We got to check ourselves. We can't cop out. We're not copping out and saying that because we live in a rough spot, we can't do this. No, this deen works everywhere and every time. There's no time and no place that this is not going to work. It might be difficult and challenging, but it works. If we do it, it works. And if we half doing it, then what? You get in what you put out. You might get a half result. Right? You get in what you put out. If you half do it, then you might get a half result. But if we do it like we're supposed to do it, it works. Right? We in the rough, there's other rough cities around America. This ain't the roughest city. It's a rough city. It's other cities like us. Right? And they have their special things about them. This works wherever we go. There's people in China doing this. There's people in Russia doing it. There's people in Africa. There's people in Philistine, Palestine. There's people in Saudi. It works everywhere. There's people in Australia. I made Hajj with a brother from Australia. Allahu Akbar. He said it looks like Maghrib for 6 months. It looks like Maghrib when the sun about to set for 6 months. They still doing deen. They still doing it. It works everywhere. We got to do it. We have to do it. We have to be comfortable doing it. Right? Ibn Sirin, the one he told us, this is why everybody's supposed to be paying attention to who the teacher is. They use this. This is what a lot of people come around and say. This knowledge is deen. You got to watch who you're taking from. I don't take from him. Take from him. Why not? He ain't right. Why? You know what they say? Oh, man, he sit with Tahir. They go to people. Well, what did Tahir do? You ain't hear what the Sheikh said? No. Sheikh grinded him up. That's enough for people. No Dalil, no ayah hadith. Where are they going to get ayah hadith? Or whoever they name. They might say me. Hey, friends with Ali Davis hated that. Whatever. At the end of the day, look at the reputation of the person you're taking knowledge from. That's what it means. This same person, because he was serious about this. He's serious about it. This is a serious issue. Who you take knowledge from is a serious issue, y'all. It's not something light. We go into the grave with this. What we practice in our lives as Muslims, we're going to go to the grave with it. We might leave here today and die. So whatever we practicing as Muslims, we're going to the grave with it. Right? It's possible next week we change on the issue. Oh, I didn't think you could do this. I believe you can do this. Last week I thought you could do this. Right? And then we die and we take it to the grave with us. Ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, this is a serious issue about taking knowledge from who? The knowledge is not to be taken from everybody. Everybody on YouTube is not worthy of listening to. Everybody teaching is not worthy of listening to. And I'm not saying I'm worthy of listening to. But that's just how it is. Everybody's not worthy of listening to. Right? We was in Saudi, we was in Mecca for 9 years. I was in Mecca for 9 years. There was plenty of people teaching. I didn't go to everybody's class though. I didn't go sit in every single person that was teaching's class, right? This knowledge is deen. Look who you take your deen from. Right? You're going to take something and go to the grave with it. You got to be careful. Is the person dishing out the information, are they even trustworthy? Is this a trustworthy source? Right? Ibn Sirin, that same person who was serious about those issues, it says, وَكَانَ Muhammad ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, يَضْحَكْ حَتَّى تَدْمَعْ عَيْنَاهُ. He was a person who still, as serious as it was, and as he laughed. It said he would laugh until like we do. You laughing so hard, your eyes be watering? That's how they described him. Even though when it's time to get deep, when it's time to get serious, what? You get serious. Allahu Alam, where this approach, you got to be hard, mean. I can't let them see me smiling. You'd be surprised what people do, man. I ain't trying to be funny, y'all. You'd be surprised. They don't want people to see them smile. They be smiling, somebody walk in the room. They tighten up. Like, yo. They leave. Allah musta'an. Allah musta'an. These are people who's serious. Muhammad Salim is serious. He's from the South. He's serious. What's wrong with getting caught smiling? What is that? What's wrong with being caught smiling? The Prophet said something. They say he smiled until when? You can see his that's a big smile. Our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes.
Would you say it's a problem with misapplication, right? Like
Yes.
A lot of times people take something, they may read a statement or heard something, and they're not even learned enough to have a proper understanding or
No doubt.
interpretation of what they, and then they just want to try to apply it.
Misapplication, no doubt. Sometimes we read things and we don't apply it correctly. Sometimes things are straightforward. Like the Prophet says something, smile. Like, what is it? Is it permissible to smile? Sometimes I ask these questions. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm asking the question, is it permissible to smile? Because some people might be like, right? They might be between. I mean, smile. They smile for what? Somebody say that. Smile for what? Right? Like, you know, something happened that you thought was funny, so you smiled. Or something happened that it was nice to you. You was happy for somebody. They graduated school. Like, when you go to a graduation, man, somebody just got married. You're not gonna smile at the brother, sister. You're not gonna smile at her and hug her, because listen. It'll be a whole nikah, right? Or even bigger, it'll be a whole shahada. Somebody takes shahada, we'll just jump up and like, yo, assalamu alaikum. Somebody get married, big event, big life-changing event. We just walk up on them, yo, assalamu alaikum. That was you did a good, like. I mean, like, what? Why we? I'm serious, because that's how we carry. And a lot of times we don't notice it because we used to doing it. Somebody just got married. We show up. We know we going to a nikah. We don't bring them a card. We don't bring them a flower. The sisters don't bring flowers, a balloon. We just show up. Then we keep looking at like, damn, how long this one gonna be? Like, it's a life-changing event. It's okay to hug them, smile, congratulate them, because next thing they're going, well, we allowed to congratulate people?
Yes.
Oh, I'm asking, you with me? It says, even though Ibn Sirin was who he was from the ulama, even with that, he was a person that smiled. And there's some other descriptions that they have about him.
I think another misinterpretation is the statement of the Salaf that a man will always be upon the religious of his companion. And then maybe somebody see me with somebody that they believe is an innovator, they might take my picture, the next day, they put it online, this is his companion. And I think it's another misinterpretation.
No doubt. Well, we got a lot of misunderstandings, I'm serious, in the English language, even just what words mean in English. We just be reading books and we applying words, and we just use them. We got misunderstandings of what the words mean in English. So misapplication is a huge problem. And that takes learning. You have to learn how to apply. Some things have to be learned how to apply it. Some things are general, and some things have to be learned. How do you apply this?
That's just like when you read, say you want to tell, like Jen went to the other side of the street, and some people might read that and just run with that. Like, I gotta be like that.
I gotta be hard like Omar. Yeah, but what about Omar, the stories when he was soft? What about the stories of Omar? Even though as hard as Omar was, or radiallahu anhu, as serious, I'm not saying hard, as serious as Omar was, radiallahu anhu, what about the stories when he was soft and gentle with people? Why we can't bring those? Yeah, we know the story about that the shaitan went to the other side of the street when he came down, okay. And how his stature, he was big, and he looked like, when he was walking, it looked like he was riding. But what about the stories when he's soft? Do we know any stories when Omar was soft? Yes. Huh? Likewise. SubhanAllah. Sahaba, man. See, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be reading through the lives of the Sahaba. This way we can really see how far off we are from the way of the understanding of the companions.
When the people was inflicted at the time of the plague, during the time of Umar ibn Khattab, he went to a lady's house and she was complaining about the Khalifa. From that night, he used to leave out of his house to go to her house. He used to cook for her and her kids.
Likewise. And she didn't even know it was him. He used to go out and cook. He's the leader of the Muslim world, not just the leader of that city. Somebody complained about the ruler. He would go out to the lady's house and clean and cook for the kids. The leader. What about being like that? We just up on a Saturday, huh? We up on a Saturday, we go out front, say, yo, we make an announcement, yo, we need some brothers tomorrow morning. We dishing out food tomorrow morning. Who shows up? How many people show up? The sisters show up. It might be one brother, y'all, and he might have just been hanging around waiting for somebody. We're feeding the community tomorrow out front. A Juma announcement. Anybody want to volunteer tomorrow? We feeding the community out front, giving out free food from 10 to 12. Brothers, inshallah, come out. Anybody want to come out and volunteer? All sisters. I'm not making this stuff up, y'all. It might be maybe a brother. But Omar ibn al-Khattab, radiallahu anhu, he was the leader, and he went over there and cooked, cleaned the house, and she didn't even know who he was. So what about practicing that part? Because we can be hard. We know how to be hard and get people out of our way. But what about the other side? Right? That's also from the deen. Tayyib, it says here. It says, وَعَنْ مَهْدِ ibn Maymun قَالَ. He said about Ibn Sirin, he said, كَانَ Muhammad ibn Sirin ينشد الشعر. It said Ibn Sirin, he used to also read poetry. Poetry is big in the culture of the Arabs. Poetry is something that's real big. And even now, there are ulama now who still write poems. Like Sheikh Uthaymeen, he writes poems. He has poems, rahimahullah. Imam Saajid, rahimahullah, they have poems. And those poems, they might be connected to like a deen issue, but it's a poem. Regardless, it's a poem. So poetry was something that was always there in their culture. It said Ibn Sirin, rahimahullah, he used to do poetry, write poetry, right, or recite poetry. Again, this is how many times they mention it. And he was a person who used to laugh, right? It says, فَإِذَا جَاءَ الْحَدِيث مِنَ السُنَّةِ كَلَحْ. But if a hadith of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ came up, he got serious. It's a time for this, it's a time for that, right? We just got to know when it's a time and what time is what. Listen to this narration. Now this, I'm not saying the hukum, y'all. I'm saying the mentality. This is the mentality. This is how he was thinking. It says, وَعَنْ هِشَامِ ibn عُرْوَةَ رحمه الله قال عطس نصراني طبيب عند أبي. The man said, a Christian sneezed in front of my father. Right? A Christian sneezed in front of my father. He says, فَقَالَ لَهُ. He said, my father said to the Christian, رحمك الله. May Allah have mercy on you. Right? It says, فَقِيلَ لَهُ. So somebody said to him, إِنَّهُ نَصْرَانِ. He said, but that's a Christian. Right? Because, you know, we sneeze, alhamdulillah. Then you hear the person, the Muslim sneeze, you say, yarhamakallah, right? But now, it's a Christian sneeze. They didn't praise Allah. They didn't say alhamdulillah. The Christian sneeze, a doctor, his father says to the doctor, rahimakallah, may Allah have mercy on you. He said, but that's a Christian. He said, فَقَالَ إِنَّ رَحْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Allah's mercy is for all of mankind. All right? Allah's mercy is for everybody. I'm not saying that every time a Christian, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying the mentality that they wanted mercy for everybody. We try to restrict everything to the people we like or look like us, or that's our people. And this is for everybody. And again, I'm not saying that's the hukum on when a Christian sneezes. I'm saying the approach, the look. What's the thought? The thought is that he wanted mercy for the Christian, not they Christian. They shot, they ain't. What type dawah is that? And where do we have that example anywhere? From the Quran, the Sunnah, the Salaf. Where do we have the example anywhere that we just disrespect with no regard if you're not Muslim? We don't have that. And that's part of the problem. Part of the problem is us looking at ourselves and then looking at the people that we say we're following. All we gotta do is a comparison. It's not, you don't have to know Arabic to do this, right? There are books and books translated. Books of the life of the Prophet ﷺ, book on Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, Ali, the 10 Promised Paradise. It's books on them translated. Books on Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim. It's books translated. All we got to do is read through their books and compare what you're reading to you. Don't compare him to this man shit and this person. Don't just compare it to how you live your life as a Muslim. Because these are the people we say we follow, right? We say we follow these people. All right, when I read the book, I need to make sure I'm doing what I'm reading. If these are the people I say I follow, it's a gauge for myself. It's not for the brother or sister sitting next to you. As you're reading, I never do that. Alhamdulillah, at least I do this one. On this whole page, I only do 2 things. I gotta tighten up. But you know, everybody with me? We so quick to put it off on somebody else. See, they've been doing that. That's what they all. No, what do you do? All you have to worry about is what we do as individuals. And the situation to change, inshallah. طيب, it says, وعن أبي حازم رحمه الله قال السيء الخلق أشقى الناس به نفسه التي بين جنبيه وهي منه بلاء. He said the person who has bad adab, basically the person with bad manners, basically you harm yourself the most. You're the most miserable. And the person that you harm yourself is the most. Right? He said in that those bad manners are fitna, a test for the person. They're being tested with their own selves by the way they behave and carry themselves. He said after that, the next person that is affected by the person's bad behavior is who? ثُمَّ زَوْجَتُهُ. Then his wife is affected by his bad adab. Some of us don't even know how to talk. Listen, some of us don't know how to talk to women. Period. Just women. Don't know how to talk soft to a woman. So some of us talk to women the same way we talk to men. No distinction. And the sisters the same. Some sisters don't know how to talk to men. They talk to men the same way they talking to women. And we all know that that's not going to work. It's not working, and it's not going to work. Tayyib, is it the next person that's affected by that person's bad adab is his wife? Listen to this. Then who? Then the children. That's the next person that is affected with that negative, by that negative behavior. Right? It says, ثُمَّ وَلَدُهُ. It says, حَتَّى إِنَّهُ لَيَدْخُلُ بَيْتَهُ وَإِنَّهُمْ لَفِي سُرُورٍ فَيَسْمَعُونَ صَوْتَهُ فَيَنْفُرُونَ عَنْهُ. Allah musta'an. This is how bad it is. Until the man goes in the house, and when he went in the house, everybody was having a ball. It was a nice vibe, as we say. We in here just chilling, we vibing. He goes in the house, they hear his voice, and everybody gets up and start moving around trying to get away from him. That's the effect of the way he carries himself, his behavior, his adab. And he number one, he's bothered by his own self, number one. Then his wife, then his children. But it doesn't stop there. Everybody, nobody wants to be around you acting like that. She said no. In our terms, you are not, like you all. The young boys say Turkey Town, Turkey Town. It's not, nobody wants to be around that. Right? So everybody in the house is affected. Right? It says, even the animals in the house. What does it say? It says, وَإِنَّ كَلْبَهُ لَيَرَاهُ فَيَنْزُ عَلَى الْجِدَارِ. If his dog saw him coming, he'd mess around and run into a wall trying to get away from him. The dog. It's from the creation of Allah. All because of the bad adab. He didn't stop there though. He said, وَحَتَّى إِنَّ قِطَّةً. Even the cat runs away when he comes in the house. Right? Now imagine if that's what's going on in the house. If we don't have enough adab, right? If we don't have enough manners and behavior good enough to have the mercy on the people closest to us, right? In the house. Imagine how it is when we go outside. And these are people that we say we love. Imagine a person walking down the street, you don't know from a can of paint You don't have any history with them. Imagine how we treat people. If we go in our house and our wives and our children are safe. The dog, right? The dog and the cat, they're not safe. Imagine the people who have no connection to a person, how they would treat them. طيب, I think this is the last one. It says, قال قبيصة كان سفيان الثوري رحمه الله. We know Sufyan al-Thawri. We do know Sufyan al-Thawri, right? Huh? If we don't know, these are names we need to know. Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, Hamad ibn Zayd, right? Sufyan al-Thawri, Sufyan ibn Uyayna. We need to know these names. You can Google them. It's easy. You can get some. So you want to know how. You want to know their status during their time, so the narration makes sense. This is a big time scholar.
It's not Zayd ibn Thabit.
No, not Zayd ibn Thabit. Hamad ibn Zayd. It was two Hamads, but that was Hamad ibn Zayd and Hamad ibn Salama. Sufyan al-Thawri is a big time, we could say. He's big time. He's not like a small, he's a big time scholar, imam from the Salaf. And it says about him, it says, كان سفيان الثوري مزاحا 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 is Sheikh, I'm sorry, Daziz. مزاحا, right? That's a siga mubalaga, wallah. مزاحا 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 but مزح. But this is siga mubalaga. Says Sufyan al-Thawri did a lot of playing. Not just he played, no, he did a lot of it. The scale that it's on in Arabic shows that it was emphasized, right? Now he's a big time. He's big time. He's not like a regular imam, y'all. He's not a regular imam of the masjid during his time. From the imams of the Salaf. Yeah, he's one of the people who has his own madhab. He's big. It said, they describe him as being mazahan. The man said that he played a lot. He was very playful, right? The man says, it says, كنت أتأخر خلفه مخافة أن يجيرني بمزاحه. He said, I used to try to stay a little far back from him because I didn't really want to be distracted by him playing so much. That's how easy he was with people. We not even imams. I'm talking about people walking around, not even imams of masjids. And I'm not saying the imam of masjid is worthy of that either. But we learn something and we just puff up and we don't even look at people no more. Like we sit through a class and then we just go to the room, we just go way off the edge. Everybody's under us. Nobody knows what I know. We puffing up. We don't even want to look at people. And of course, if we go all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ, they said when they came to the circle, and the Prophet ﷺ, Sahaba was sitting there, they said what? They didn't even know who was the messenger, ﷺ. They didn't even know who he was. They had to ask, which one? Who's Muhammad? Sorry, something. We learn, we miss classes and all that. We don't even get through all of the classes. But when the book is finished, when we're done, we like we really reached the level. Looking at people, we start talking like the book. We don't even talk regular no more. We start talking like the book. We put accents on the English. Serious, right? We start putting accents on English. His brother is not, please, not to like. That's how far we go. And the people that know, he looking at like, yo, you from, come on, like. And some people, y'all think it's funny, some people think, I'm telling you because I don't know if it's good or bad, but I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people. Some people really think you're supposed to do that. They think when you learn something, you're supposed to like, you can't be like you. Like you have to talk like somebody else. You can't remain like who you are. You who you are from North Philly, South Philly, wherever you're from, you are who you are. Because you learn doesn't mean you're not from the same place you came from. You from the same place. But when you know better, you do better. Do better doesn't mean I have to imitate another person in the way I talk, right? So we got to be careful because these are the small things that cause big problems. And I think, I think this was the last one. This is the last one. عن أبي عبيدة أنه قال كان المهدي رحمه الله يصلي بنا الصلوات في المسجد الجامع بالبصرة لما قدمها. It said that this man, Al-Mahdi, he came to Basra, which is Iraq, right? Iraq. He went to Iraq. It says, so when he came to Iraq, he wasn't from, he went there and he led the people in the Salat. See, all you got to do is put yourself in the position of the people in these stories and see how you would feel, right? He says, فَأُقِيمَتِ الصَّلَاةِ يَوْمًا. So one day he was leading them in the Salat and they called the Iqamah. If the Iqamah is called, that means what, y'all? Huh? It's time to pray like when? Like right now. So when the Iqamah is called, everybody starts to get up, start lining up, getting up, right? The Iqamah was called. It says, فَقَالَ أَعْرَابِي يَا أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ لَسْتُ عَلَى تُهْرٍ وَقَدْ رَغَبْتُ إِلَى اللَّهِ فِي الصَّلَاةِ خَلْفِكَ. A man stood up and said to him, he called him the leader, the leader of the believers. He said, everybody's lining up for the prayer. He says, hold up. I don't have wudu. I'm not in wudu. Imagine this. I'm not in wudu, but I really want to pray behind you. This is how much respect he had for him. I really, really want to pray a salat behind you, but I don't have wudu. Right? You with me? طيب. He ain't stopped there. He says, فَأْمُرْ هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْتَظِرُونِ. He said to him, he says to the imam that's going to lead the salat, he said, tell these people to wait for me. Tell them to wait. That's what he says to imam, get ready to lead the salat that came from Basra. They came to Iraq. Listen, they call the Iqamah, listen, I really want to pray behind you, but I don't have wudu. So why don't you just tell everybody, hold up for a minute. That's cool? You shake. Don't shake, don't. That's what he said to him, right? You right now as the imam, you waiting or no? You be honest. Probably waiting. Most people ain't waiting. Go ahead and make wudu and just come. Huh? Just come and join the salat, akhi. We're not going to be finished by the time you make wudu. Just come catch what you can catch, inshallah. Right? That's cool, right? There ain't nothing wrong with that. طيب. He says, the imam now. فَقَالَ انتظروه رحمكم الله. He turned to the people and he said, y'all just wait for him. Wait, y'all, just wait a minute. May Allah have mercy on all y'all. He made dua for everybody. May Allah have mercy on everybody, but just wait for the brother to come back. Why is he waiting for him? The man just said, I really want to pray behind you. Right? Does he know him? It doesn't say he knew him. It just says, قَالَ أَعْرَابِي. A man came and he just said, I want to pray behind you. He turned around and he told the people to wait. It says, وَدَخَلَ الْمِحْرَابِ وَوَقَفَ إِلَى أَنْ قِيلَ لَهُ قَدْ جَاءَ الرَّجُلُ. He said, so the imam, he stood up here in front of everybody and he just waited there. You know the mihrab, like the little oval that they have in some of the masjids? It said he stood right there and he just stood there and waited until the people said, the man is here. Right? He stood there and waited for him until they said, قَدْ جَاءَ الرَّجُلُ. The man came. It says, فَكَبَّرَ. Then he said, once he knew the man was there, he said, Allahu Akbar. Then he started the prayer. It says, فَتَعَجَّبَ النَّاسِ مِنْ سَمَاحَةِ أَخْلَاقِهِ. He said, so the people were amazed. The people standing there looking at him were amazed at how good his adab was. Because he didn't have to wait. He didn't have to wait. You on my time, the imam is, right? Everybody is on the imam's time. Right? So that's why it's from the wisdom the imam has to consider the people behind him when he prays. Because everybody's under the imam's authority. So, therefore, you lead the salat. You shouldn't be too long, because you don't want to hold people too long. You shouldn't be too short, right? You got to know who's behind you. So the imam has the right. And even though he had the right, who's this man? All he knows is the man had enough respect for him to say, I want to pray behind you. The fact that he had that much respect for him, he told everybody to wait. And then he said he waited till he came back and then he prayed. Out of respect. The man has respect for him. If a person has respect for us, we supposed to kind of yield. If that's a yield. Like, come down a little bit. Humble yourself. Somebody actually looks up to you. No matter how bad you think you are, somebody actually looks up and they tell you they look up to you. How we turn around and treat them like we don't really care at that point. Knowing what type of environment and knowing what type of situation we living in. Allah Mustaan. We could stop there, inshallah, unless there's any questions. But this is one book, and there's plenty more to read, but this is one book, but there are chapters and chapters and chapters on adab. Just from what I've seen, we don't give enough importance to this chapter. The brothers and the sisters. There's not enough importance given to me, myself. How am I supposed to behave as a Muslim? You'd be surprised what people don't know about how Muslims are supposed to behave and carry themselves. Sometimes we assume because you know it and the people around you know it, you assume everybody knows it. But some people, they don't know. They just don't know. For whatever reason, the masjid that they go to, there's no classes there. We do know that exists, right? There are masjids that don't have classes. All right? There's cities. There's small cities with Muslims. There are no classes. They learn deen off the internet. They have to use YouTube. We got classes almost every day all over the city. We struggling to make one for an hour. And if the brother go over an hour, we like, man, he going over tonight like he was going in. Right? And if you really wanted to, in this city, you can go to a class every single day of the week. You could probably go to class every single day of the week for like probably 3 months straight if you really wanted to, without missing a day. That's how much opportunity we have. Right? May Allah make us better and make us a people who protect what he gave us. So we don't want this to be a proof against us on the day of judgment, that we had opportunity to be better Muslims and to change stuff in front of us and that we don't do it. I mean. Where you from? There's no classes? Where you from? Huh? Say it again? Oh, Atlantic City. And that's not even too far. Like you said, in Atlantic City, there's no classes. And you could be here every day. We can go around the city, y'all. I'm not saying in here. I'm saying you can be in the city of Philadelphia and go to a different masjid every day if you really wanted to and find a class somewhere and benefit from. And there's people, they don't have anything going on. The masjid closes 10 minutes after the prayer. The masjid closed. You ain't gotta go home. But you can't stay here. Right? And we have opportunity in front of us after opportunity after opportunity. And we let a no-name nobody who barely knows his left from his right come and tell you, don't go there and learn. And you believe him. Allah Mustaan. I mean, we allow people who haven't studied anything from deen tell you, don't go learn from a person who studied deen. How does that make sense? If anybody knows, if you can explain that, or at least the thought pattern, so we can all understand, because it's important to understand how people think, so that if we're talking to somebody, at least you have maybe you don't agree, but you understand how they think. And if you understand how they think, possibly you know how to give them dawah, a better way of giving dawah. Huh? If I didn't, for example, if I didn't study anything from, if I don't know anything about construction, I don't know anything about, and I really don't, seriously, but brother taught me a couple of things, so I'm going to say some words, but I really don't know, right? So if we had to plaster this wall and, you know, fill in some holes with some putty and stuff like that, right? If we had to do like some holes in the wall, if we had to do that, right? Now, I don't know that. I didn't go to school for that. But the brother here went to school for that. That's what now he has a whole construction company. I'm going to tell you, I didn't even study construction. Man, don't go learn construction with him. Why not? Man, his construction, he don't be doing stuff right. Wouldn't you at least inquire, like where'd you get that from? Like, who told you that? Wouldn't you want to know at least where that's coming from? And that's just construction or any other. How about Dean? We just let people come in front of us and say anything. Right? And even that is not something that is, Allah Mustaan, may Allah forgive us. But may Allah forgive us and make us better and make us a people who take the opportunity to take advantage of the benefit that we have in front of us, at least in our city. I can't speak for every city because people in different cities online and stuff like that. I don't know about everywhere. In ours here, in many people from outside of Philadelphia know it's a lot of opportunity here. It's a lot of opportunity. We need to make sure that we're taking advantage of what's in front of us so that it's not held against us before Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah. It's some things, and Allah knows best, it's some things that in this city, before Allah, we might not be excused for not knowing. That people maybe, for example, right in Atlantic City, they might be excused. Maybe they don't have the opportunity, they don't have the access to the knowledge, they don't have the access to the classes. We have access all over. Some things it shouldn't be that we don't, right? And it's not like everybody has, you don't have to know everything, but it's basic things. And the older brothers can tell us all. In the 70s and in the 80s, when Islam was fairly new, it wasn't a bunch of books translated. It wasn't a bunch of classes, but they knew the basic stuff and they acted on it. The Holy Quran, they had the Holy Quran. And, oh, I ain't trying to be funny. They had the Holy Quran. We got a problem with that. Oh, man, Holy Quran, Yusuf Ali John. Now pay attention. These are people, that's all they had. That's all they had. But ask them how the Muslims behaved with that, just having that. Talk to them and see how the relationships between the Muslims were with just the Yusuf Ali translation. Or whatever little books they had from, like, a lot of books was printed in like Lebanon, I think, back then and stuff like that. With the little that they had, ask them about the relationships and how the Muslims were then compared to now. With all of these books and all of these publications and all these translations we have, right? Compared to a people who didn't have that, and just look at the relationship that the Muslims had and how they flourished for us to be able to do this now. It was people that was here before us. We're not the first Muslims. It was people here in the 80s, right, in the 70s, Muslims, building up so that now, right, Islam looks the way it looks now in 2022. And that's the benefit of not cutting off that generation above us, our elders, so that we know the history where we came from. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, like the dab or the malika, like they don't like smoke stuff like that, right? Like onion smoke.
Who?
Malika.
The Malaika?
Yeah.
The angels?
Yeah. Like smoke, dogs in the house and stuff like that, right? Like, is it books like explain like all this
Books about the angels?
like the dab, the have one?
The Adab with the angels. A book on the Adab with the angels. Allahu Alam. Allahu Alam. Not that I know of. I don't know. If it is a book, it's probably a book of hadith gathered from like the Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim about the angels. I don't know any book specifically though. Allahu Alam. You know any shaykh? You know anyone? Allahu Alam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam wa rahmatullah.
One of the sisters want to know, when are we getting our test back from the class?
Yo.
The
Sisters.
physical paper. I still didn't get mine from like the first class.
Time out, y'all. Come on, y'all.
And when the class start?
Y'all can't do that. Y'all.
Because the
no,
brother's
no, no.
not going to take their class that you offered them. So can you just bump us up?
Don't. Whoa. We ain't doing that. I'm not letting you do that to the brothers.
That's a challenge though, because
Alhamdulillah. Rushing to the good.
Nah,
Alhamdulillah. We need to do a class for the brothers.
it's
Listen,
like 50 of them over there right now.
it ain't 50, but it's definitely enough. It was 80 sisters in that class, y'all. It was 80. 80 sisters in that class. MashaAllah, they did good. Quizzes, finals, attendance. If they not coming, if they couldn't make it to class, they send an email ahead of time. I apologize, I can't be there. Can I have to work for next week? I'm sick, I can't make it. Right? They bring in food, gifts for each other. It was nice, man. It was decent, man. We need to, inshallah, because we told them that we were going to do one of those for the brothers. We just hope. We hope that the brothers participate.
Some of us is losing knowledge because y'all prolonging the time.
No,
So can you like hurry up a little bit?
we got to take that mic now, because listen, the blame for losing their ilm is always on yourself. Whenever you're not in class, you're doing what? Reviewing. Well, if you're not in class, you review.
You mentioned that.
Right? Whenever you're not in class, if the class stops, studying never stops. All right, but inshallah, we'll get to that, inshallah. When the class is starting, I don't know. But inshallah, we'll get to that. Jazakumullah khairan. That's it. We stop there, inshallah. Fadla. Huh? Fadla.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters online and the ones that's in this class, in this lecture. We're having a trip on December the 17th on the Spirit of Philadelphia. It's going to be a lecture on the Spirit of Philadelphia, all Muslims. So if you look on our page, even Muslim families on the page, you will see the price, the time, and everything on here. So inshallah, go on our page. We're having a trip on December the 17th on the Spirit of Philadelphia for all the Muslims, inshallah, buffet and everything. Assalamu alaikum.